Okay, we're working on the brakes here. This is not even bolted on yet. It's kind of just loosely finger tight, 2 bolts through the firewall, so bear with me on this one. First thing I did was get rid of this proportioning valve and ABS module setup that's on this. That's all factory, and yeah, I don't need none of that. What we're going to go with here is a Wilwood manual proportioning valve. A lot smaller, a lot simpler for what I'm doing. I sure don't need any ABS on this thing. My philosophy is no ABS, no airbags, we die like real men. I do have seatbelts though. And ask me why I have seatbelts. Go ahead. I have seatbelts because when I first started driving, I had my 76 Blazer. I think the very first time I took that truck out, and I went around a corner and gunned it a little bit. Next thing you know, I'm sitting in the passenger seat and the truck is going on its own way right towards a building. Not fast, because I just left the stoplight, but you get the idea. The seatbelt was a necessity to keep me in my seat. I learned that day, and I've always worn one ever since for that reason. It's hard to control a car safely when you're sitting on the passenger's lap. Anyway, I just took out the nuts that hold the master cylinder to power brake booster. Alright, so what comes in the package? You can buy just the proportioning valve, or you can buy it as a kit with the bracket. Obviously, that's a huge time saver, having a bracket that fits right on your master. So, we're just going to go ahead and put this dealie on here like this. Alright, there's my bracket screwed on. Another good thing about this Wilwood is it kills 2 birds with 1 stone for my build. There's my brake light switch built right into it. All I need to do is run power to 1, and that goes back to my wire that goes to my taillights. Put my little aluminum spacers on here. Okay, we're just matching up fittings here. Obviously, different size fittings, but you still need the 3/16 line. For example, there's the same thread fitting, but that one has the 1/4 inch line. This is a 3/16. So you got to get the right one for what you're doing. Now we're cooking with Crisco. There's all the fittings we need for the top. Now we just need to make up some lines. We're going to use the 3/16 copper nickel line on this one. I've always used steel. Truth is, this copper nickel is more rust resistant. Not like this is going to be out in the snow. I'm just going to use a little piece of TIG wire so I can mock up my bends. So all we do is there's the wire that we bent to mock up. And we're just going to start here and get a rough idea of the length. Okay, very fast, gives you a near perfect flare every time. Can't complain about that. There's basically what we're looking at. For the back one, I need to put a 45 roughly on that. Yeah, it's not easy making these little lines with the bends. It's just none of the tools are designed to make lines that small. Alright, second line made up. Nothing to that one. Like I said, so much easier to work with, the bigger line. Okay, well there's the Wilwood proportioning valve plumb to the master cylinder. 3 lines come off the bottom. And this is where I said I may as well redo the front brake lines anyways, because normally you have one big one going to a T-block, which then divides to each wheel. In this case, the proportioning valve acts as your T-block, so you have 2 separate lines coming out, one front right, one front left, and for the rear output. We're gonna get to doing that now. The lines that are here are not leaking, they're not exceptionally rusted. Like this front one rarely rusts because it's underneath a leaky, Chevy. No, I like Chevys, it's just, they leak. Everybody knows that's like Harleys, they leak. Anyway, since I had the replumb for the proportioning valve anyways, I may as well just ditch these, put in new, and then I won't have any problems with them. I mean, the amount this thing's gonna drive, if anything, I'll just drive past the old folks' homes to bug people. Mikey was out the other day there when we were firing it up, and he was amazed at how loud it is. He says, "Dad, can we drive past my school with that?" He gets that from his old man. Torture everybody else for your own amusement. Why not? Hey, it's not going to leave any lasting psychological scars or anything, I'm sure they'll get over it with some therapy. Anyway, we're going to get to changing these brake lines. Enough of me yapping. Hard to remember, 93, whether or not they used Imperial or standard fittings on things. Like this truck is half and half, it seems. I pulled out the retainer up there, the one you can't see, and I got brake fluid on my hand doing it. So that's a telltale sign that there was going to be a leak there as soon as I got pressure put to it. Reasonably new line here. Here's where the change in lines and just putting on whatever you find. They're all different sizes now. Oh, what a horrible spot for that clip. In between the motor mount, the control arm, and under the header. And the steering column's there too. Out with the old, in with the new. Alright, well there's all the front ones done. Well, let's get a rough size of how long we need, and then I'll figure out how I want to run them. Here, there. I got to figure out there. Now I just need to figure out what I'm doing over here. A little bit of estimation going on here. This here is a complicated one because it has so many bends in it. So there's a good life hack for you. If you got a fitting that likes to slide down, just put a piece of electrical tape on like that. Like it doesn't even need to be tight, just stops it. Alright, so there's our front right. Goes up over the frame. Down here. Under the cross member. Back up over the frame. There's a nice new shiny line right there. You can see it'll go right into the bottom of the Wilwood up there. Okay, so we got some bends to do up top to make it look nice and neat, but that's a victory. I'll take it. That's the most complicated line. This front right one's almost nothing. The only reason the front right's going to be a little harder is because I want to run them all kind of in the same area instead of, like that, like they usually are. And then the back one it's just straight along the frame rail for the most part. Alright, so that's basically what we're looking at. We're going to come off the proportioning valve, along the firewall, frame, and then into the front left wheel. Real easy one. Alright, so I got my back one cut, and I pull it out, put the fitting back on, and then feed it back up here. Hopefully I can reach it from here. I'm going to lower it again. Oh yeah, we got it. Use the force, Luke. I'm on my tippy toes too. I'm a fat ballerina. There we go. Out with the old. That's a good line. We'll use it for something else one day. Maybe. There's always one where you forget to put the fitting on. So that fitting on the back of there, where it goes to the flex line and then down to the axles, is a different size than everything else. Okay, some more greasy, dirty, rusty lines back here. These have definitely been changed at some point because that's not the factory bend. But we're getting rid of them anyway. Second I turned it, the line just popped, broke. So that's always a good indication that you're doing the right thing. Pretty easy line to replace. So there's what I got made up for this side. Woo! Well, it didn't break. I got one more side though. Oh, it's not looking good, boys and girls. That one broke. It's kind of funny, as you can tell that line was replaced because they put the bracket here, and the bracket is actually supposed to go there. And the cutout here and the diff cover for it, like there's on that side. So they just kind of put it on there, jammed it on, and tightened it down and hope for the best. On the wheel cylinders there, they kind of tilt down, but also this way, so that the line comes out backwards a bit. So it's a little challenging to thread when it's dark in there. All right, now all we got to do is make that a little more tidy. I can live with that. Just tighten it up and get done with this job. Always a good idea to be systematic and go back and double check all these darn things. Like that one up there that I didn't have quite tight. All right, well, it looks like I'm done down here for now. Got everything back here done, tightened up, ready to bleed. Which I can't do yet because I don't have a brake pedal, but we're getting there. What I want to do here is just clean up my lines so they look nice and straight and uniform. So there's the finished product. Those two lines from the master into the proportioning valve. Those three come out. Run down the back here. Well, it's a new day. A little warmer today. You only got one sweater on instead of a sweater and a coat. That may change before too long. It is a little uncomfortable. What I'm doing today is I'm going to try to rig up a brake pedal. This is the original pedal out of the S10. It was in the truck when I got it. All this part here is not going to work. For one, my dash roll bar comes out to about here and is perfectly in line with all this mess. You see how badly this goes, but I'm just going to hack everything past this off, and if need be, try reinforcing it with some 1/8. What I'm trying to avoid, and this is the big question mark, is when I press the brake, I don't want this part to flex. Obviously this is mounted to the firewall, and by virtue the master cylinder's on the other side, so it's all bolted together through the firewall. If this part flexes when I press the brake, that's brake pressure that's not going to the wheels. So I'm just going to start chopping everything beyond here, try to make it a little bit cleaner. Wish me luck. Ain't none of that. So there's what we're looking at. Please forgive the wiring mess. I haven't cleaned it up yet. I got a pile of cable ties and stuff to do there yet. And I got to hook up a few grounds and put my relay for the hazards somewheres. Sorry, that's a turn signal relay. I think I'm just going to throw the nuts on that and see how it fits when everything's tight. One of the few metric nuts that are on this thing. I don't know, let's see. Ladies and gentlemen, there is some flexing, but the flexing is actually in the firewall. You can just see it here. I don't know if that's going to be a problem or not. And I could easily fix that by putting a brace from here to the dash bar. Okay, so I topped up the master cylinder in preparation to bleed it. And before, when I was pressing the pedal, there's really not much resistance because the master cylinder was empty. Now it's got fluid in it, it's resisting a lot more. Let's have a look at that master cylinder when I press the brakes. Wee bit too much flex, I'd say, and I'm just using one toe at the moment. So we're going to brace that up. So the easiest way to get rid of that would be to attach the bracket to my dash bar. Part of the roll cage, it's not going to move, but I want it so that it's going to be removable, so I can't just weld it to the dash bar. So what I'm thinking is I will weld in something like that, which goes straight to the dash bar, and then I'll put another bracket here, drill this, and attach the two that way. Okay, so there's what I got done. This bar here, and then I made up this here to go around the roll cage. It's notched. It's not welded yet. None of this is. I just got it drilled and bolted so that I could adjust that end. I just got it vice gripped onto the bracket, and I'll take it out of there and weld it up. Okay, well that weld ain't going anywhere for sure. I couldn't help it. I spread some flat black paint. It's a sickness. I'm aware of it. Yeah, I'll clean up the wires later. I just put this floor mat down here to make it a little easier to clean, and well, you can see how much I clean. Well, that's about as good a view as I'm going to get you folks, because I gotta be able to get my head in there too. Okay, well you be the judge. It's a heck of a lot less firewall flexing going on there. I'm actually pumping pretty hard. That's pushing the brakes harder than I would be if I was about to crash into a truck full of beer. I wouldn't want to crash into that. That would be sacrilege, but you get the idea. The firewall flex is more or less fixed. They're always going to move a little bit. You can see just a hint of movement there. That's nothing. Brand new cars do more than that. So we got that licked. All we got to do now is bleed it, and we'll have brakes. Major check in the box there.